The Galactic Council had made many mistakes in its 4,000-year history. They had mishandled border disputes. They had fumbled trade negotiations. They had, on one memorable occasion, accidentally declared war on a species that turned out to be a weather phenomenon. But those mistakes had been corrected, apologized for, filed away in the great bureaucratic archive of galactic embarrassment. This mistake was different. This mistake had a name. Her name was Lily Chun. She was 7 years old. She had brown eyes and a gap-toothed smile and a stuffed rabbit named Captain Flop. She had been aboard the civilian transport Meridian Star as a passenger with her mother, a xenobotanist traveling to the research colony on Varith 6. The Meridian Star had been in the wrong place when Council enforcement vessels opened fire on what they claimed was a smuggler vessel. The Meridian Star was not a smuggler vessel. Lily Chin did not make it to Varith 6. Captain Flop was found in the debris field, undamaged, drifting. The Council filed a report. They issued a statement of regret. They offered compensation, a figure calculated by their actuarial algorithms as appropriate for one human life, civilian class, minor, non-combatant. They sent the number to Earth's diplomatic office. They did not understand what they had done. Ambassador John Hargrove had been humanity's voice to the Galactic Council for 9 years. He was a patient man. He was known for patience the way a glacier is known for patience, slow, methodical, and capable of grinding mountains into dust given sufficient time. He had negotiated 3 trade disputes, 2 territorial claims, and 1 incident involving a council delegate who had, in an extremely ill-advised moment, referred to Earth as a primitive mudball. That delegate was now retired. John had done it all with words. When the report about Lily Chun crossed his desk at 0300 hours, he read it twice. He sat in the dark for a long time. Then he called Admiral Emma Vasquez. She picked up on the first ring. She had been awake. "You saw it," John said. "I saw it," Emma said. "The council is calling it an acceptable loss." A pause. "I know. They sent a number, Emma. A compensation figure." Another pause. "Longer this time." "What do you need from me?" Emma said. John looked out his office window at the dark Earth sky, at the faint smear of stars visible through the city light. He thought about a 7-year-old girl and a stuffed rabbit named Captain Flop. "Wake them up," he said quietly. Emma was silent for exactly 3 seconds. "All of them," she said. "All of them." The council received Earth's formal response 18 hours later. It was not a compensation counteroffer. It was not a diplomatic protest. It was not even a declaration of war, which the council's legal department had been quietly preparing to process. It was a single sentence, transmitted on all frequencies, in every language spoken by every species in the consortium. "We are coming. Move aside or be moved." Council Chair Urelith called an emergency session. The chamber was full within minutes, delegates from 93 species crowding into their seats, voices overlapping, translation matrices working at full capacity. "This is posturing," said Delegate Morkai of the Thren hegemony. "Humans have 12 warships in active commission." 12. "We have 14,000. 15,240, corrected Delegate Suveth of the Pelari Union, who was precise about such things. "The point stands. This is a bluff." Council Chair Urelith was not so certain. She had studied humans longer than most. She pulled up the deep archive files, the ones that the Council's intelligence branch maintained on every spacefaring species, the files that tracked not just current military capacity, but history. What a species had been, what it was capable of becoming again. She read for 6 minutes while the chamber argued around her. Then she said, very quietly, "How many ships did they have?" The chamber noise dropped. "Pardon," said Morkai. "In their resource wars, their colonial period, their early expansion era." She looked up from the file. "Before they joined the council and agreed to decommission their war fleet. How many ships did they have?" Suveth checked. The number appeared on his screen. He stared at it. "That can't be right," he said. "How many?" Urelith pressed. Suveth said the number out loud. The chamber went quiet in the specific way that large rooms go quiet when everyone in them realizes simultaneously that they have made a terrible miscalculation. The Meridian, flagship of Earth's reactivated war fleet, designation EWS 001, classified hull configuration, length 2 kilometers, dropped out of FDL at the edge of council space at 0600 hours Galactic Standard Time. It was not alone. Behind it came the Thermopylae, the Carthage, the Verdun and the Stalingrad and the Gettysburg and the Midway. Ships named for battles, every one of them. Humanity's habit of naming their instruments of war after places where people had bled and held and refused to yield. Behind those came the second wave, the third, the archive ships, the ones that hadn't been activated in 60 years, pulled from orbital storage and crewed in 18 hours by people who had trained their whole careers for a moment exactly like this. The fleet that appeared on the Council's long-range sensors was not 12 ships. It was not the size Morkai had cited so confidently. The human ships came out of FDL in formation, silent, running full dark, no hails, no transponders broadcasting. They simply appeared, and kept appearing, wave after wave, until the sensor operator at Council Defense Command put down his headset and walked out of the room because he needed, very badly, to sit down somewhere quiet. Admiral Emma Vasquez stood on the bridge of the Meridian and looked at the stars ahead. She was 44 years old. She had been born in Guadalajara and raised in Vancouver, and she had joined Earth Fleet at 19 because she believed in something larger than herself. She had a photograph of her daughter on the console beside her station, her daughter who was 9 years old, who had brown eyes, who had a stuffed bear she called General Fuzz. Emma was not angry. She had moved past anger in the first 6 hours. What she felt now was something colder and more ancient. The same thing her species had felt for 100,000 years whenever something threatened the small and the helpless and the innocent. A kind of absolute resolve. A door, slamming shut. "Open a channel to the Council," she said. "Channel open, Admiral." Emma looked into the camera. She let the silence sit for a moment. Let them see her face. Let them understand that what was coming next was not a performance. "My name is Admiral Emma Vasquez of the Earth Warship Meridian. I am speaking on behalf of humanity and of one specific human who is no longer able to speak for herself." She paused. Her name was Lily Chun. She was 7 years old. She had a stuffed rabbit named Captain Flop. Another pause. "You sent us a number. A figure. A calculation of what her life was worth in your accounting system." Emma leaned forward very slightly. "We are here to explain to you, in terms your accounting system cannot process, what that calculation cost you." She sat back. "You have 6 hours to deliver every individual who authorized the strike on the Meridian Star to our custody. You have 6 hours to issue a full public accounting of what happened, in every language, on every channel. And you have 6 hours to begin establishing a fund, not a figure, not a number, but a living, permanent fund for the families of every civilian lost in Council enforcement actions for the past century." She held up one finger. "One of those conditions is non-negotiable. All 3 of them are non-negotiable. I am using the word non-negotiable in its precise meaning. There is no negotiation. There is compliance, or there is what comes next." She cut the channel. Back on Earth, in a hospital room in Shanghai, John Hargrove sat beside Lily Chen's mother, who had survived. She was still recovering. She did not yet know what humanity had done in her daughter's name. John held her hand. Outside the window, the Earth turned, blue and ancient, the original death world, the cradle of something that the galaxy had spent centuries assuming was civilized and contained and domesticated. The galaxy had been wrong. "They'll answer," John told her quietly. "They'll answer for her." She didn't respond. She was looking at something he couldn't see. On the table beside her bed, someone had placed a stuffed rabbit. John didn't know who had brought it. Maybe a nurse. Maybe one of the rescue crew from the debris field. It sat there with its button eyes and its floppy ears, and it looked, somehow, like a promise. The Council complied within 4 hours. They had done the math, finally. The real math, not the actuarial figure they had sent to Earth, but the other calculation. The one that counted ships and history and what happens when a species that evolved on a planet that tried to kill it every single day finally, completely, runs out of patience. The individuals responsible were turned over. The fund was established. The accounting was broadcast. And the Earth Fleet sat at the edge of Council space for exactly 6 hours and 1 minute, long enough to make the point, and then turned and went home. They left one ship, just one, parked at the border. No weapons hot, no hails, no signals, just present, just watching. The Council never asked them to move it. They never did.